Hey everyone, it's Nikki. Welcome back. I've got 5 quick fall DIYs for you. Each one is under $5. So for my first project, I found this copper piece on the side of the road just yesterday, actually. And the very first thing I thought of was, this looks like a pumpkin. So that's exactly what we're going to make it into. There's this little flat piece here on the top. That's where I glued this stem that was on the side of the road. And wait, no, the stem was on the side of my house. I glued this fall leaf that's also from my stash. All this stuff is from my stash. And then I took some Spanish moss and just glued that around the whole thing. I love Spanish moss. I think you could put it on basically anything and it just makes everything look so cozy and whimsy. I like that. Then I tied a bow using some chiffon ribbon. I just did an awareness bow with some twine, and later you'll see that this bow is non-existent. I didn't love it. You'll see here in a second what I do, but I do end up getting rid of it. But for now, I'm just showing you the process of what's going on in my brain at the moment. I do add a button to this, and I liked the bow. I just didn't like how it looked on this. And maybe it was the color of the ribbon. Maybe I should have went with a different color. I don't know, but it does turn out looking wicked cute. So this is the button and I'm just flipping it over. For some reason, I tend to like the bottom side of a button. And typically I run thread through it, and I didn't with this one. I just think it looks so much better with thread, but I finished it off with a pine cone and some vintage style ribbon and some pit berries. But I think this came out super cute. I mean, I went to my daughter's house yesterday, and a couple houses down, there was like a bunch of stuff displayed on the sidewalk. And I was like, is that stuff for sale? And my daughter's like, I have no idea. So I asked her girlfriend if she knew, and she's like, oh, the kids just brought that stuff out there and had a mattress and said that they were sleeping outside. And I asked if it was for sale, and they said no. Well, I didn't see anybody. I went over, looked for prices. I didn't see prices, and I didn't see anybody. And I'm like, if it's on the side of the road, then it's fair game. So I grabbed a bunch of stuff, and I'll have it in some future DIYs. But I thought this was a really great find for free. And I'm not entirely sure what I'd price this at, just a matter of cents. But this is what it looks like with that bow, and this is what it looks like without the bow. But wait until the end of the video because I think that you'll be happy with how it looks. All right, on to our second project. This baking powder can I've had in my stash for years. It's actually used as decor in my room, and even though the copyright says 1899, I know it's not quite that old, but still, I love the look. I don't do much cleaning to this piece, just gentle wipe down so I don't ruin the integrity. But to turn it into a pumpkin, I hot glued a cork to the for the stem, and when I'm ready to restyle it, I can just heat it up with my embossing gun and just pop it right off. And then I added a little bit of reindeer moss to this, and I just love to add a little green. And with fall, I mean, it green speaks spring to me, but I like it in the fall too. And then I wrap some homespun linen, and you can get this on Amazon. You can get like a big jelly roll. It's like, I think $19. So a little bit goes a long way. And then the little bit of red that's in the label, I thought it'd be cool to put a red leaf. But as you can see, I added a little bit of Spanish moss in there. I just like variation, just, you know, put whatever on it. It's got to be, you got to do it up. So exactly, Excelsior. I mean, there's no limit to how many mosses you can use in one project. And of course, I added a pine cone because it's all about pumpkins and pine cones. And most of my projects are all pumpkins, or maybe they all are. All right. Sorry I missed the footage with this one. I think I accidentally forgot to push play. But this scrap of wood is from my stash. I applied some apple barrels burnt umber with a damp rag to give it that stain look. And then I glued that finial on top, tucked in some Spanish moss. And I wanted to add a little bit of greenery, so I took this pine pick out of my stash. I thought that looked really pretty. And then for an added pop of color, I got this really pretty twine on Etsy. I can make sure I link it down below. I'm going to make some tendrils with this. So first I wrap it around my finial and tie it off a couple of times into a knot. And then I take Aleene's tacky glue spray and wrap the twine around this pencil. And I end up having to do this a couple of times. I don't know if the tacky glue should have set a second, but I did go in with my embossing gun and just kind of warmed it up. And it wasn't in a spiral, it wasn't curled. So I had to do it one more time and then it curled perfectly. And so I did both of them that way. This one side seemed to curl a lot better than the other, but either way, I think it looks super cute. Okay, you remember that chiffon bow I didn't like in the first project? I reused it here and it fit perfectly. You guys will have to let me know what you think, but I absolutely loved it on this piece. And then to finish it off, I'm going to use these rub-on transfers. I believe these came from Temu. And that's where I hit my head. I knocked my head off my light. But I got these last year, I think from Temu. And when I found them, I was all giddy about it. Like I didn't even remember purchasing them. So it was like, you know, when you get a package in the mail and you're all excited about it, same thing. Oh, I love when I find things. But I gently rubbed it and then just took the transfer sheet and just burnished it a little bit and finished it off with some Extreme Guard satin from Paint Chakar. And then I set that off to the side to dry, and that completes this project. You'll see the results at the end of the video. On to project number 4. I got a huge bag of these burlap bags from Goodwill. The other side has a heart on it. I guess they're for Valentine's, but I heavily dry brushed it with Waverly's chalk paint in the color pumpkin. And I even painted the back, but no one's going to see it. You might get a quick glimpse of the back, but I wanted to give it, you know, that rustic look. So I actually got this idea from Emily. This spring she had made something similar, although it was a carrot. She used this exact script stamp and definitely tricky trying to stamp on fabric, but I did my best and I probably could have added a lot more pressure than I did on the bottom half, but it's all good. I'm gonna embrace it. Then I took some polyfill, and this also was from my stash, and this also came from Goodwill because I don't like to spend a lot of money on stuff like this. But once I got it filled, I'm gonna use that big wonkin cinnamon stick for my stem. And I just love, you know, the organic look of what fall brings to the table is lots of, you know, leaves and florals and, you know, pumpkins and apples, just all the lovely fall things. I'm sure I'm forgetting stuff. But I took some cinnamon and just sprinkled it all over and rubbed it all over my bag, and this is where you get a glimpse of the back of the bag. I'm going to flip it over here in a second. There's a little pink heart on the back. But I make sure to save the rest of my cinnamon because this is my crafting cinnamon, and I don't know how much I paid for this bottle. It's a McCormick. I think I paid too much for it. So I go frugal. And then I found this really cool cinnamon stick, and I'm like, I'm going to use this as my leaf. So I just took a little bit of hot glue and secured that. I had to hold it for a second. But don't you think that looks so cute? I just love that. And then I took this Excelsior and I kind of wrapped it around to make sure it secures that cinnamon stick a little bit because I was so afraid it was going to flop over, but it held perfectly. I didn't have any issues with it. But you see how the cinnamon stick is poking out so much? I'm going to push that down. And when I do, it seems to all come together. You know, it actually looks like a legit pumpkin to me now. So I add a little bit of reindeer moss for some variation, and I need to add color to things. It's just too flat. And although sometimes when I use reindeer moss on anything orange, I think of carrots. Um, but I take this little bag. It's got not just cinnamon sticks and pine cones, but it's got like these little dried berries. I don't know what kind of berries they are, but I glued those in there. Just a quick thank you to Emily from Farm Charm Chic for hosting this challenge. And lastly, I'm going to add a little bit of vintage lace and also a putka pod. I think those things are just so darn cute. I can't wait for you guys to see the last project, which is right now. I took one of Dollar Tree's little paint trays, and I'm going to use this salt wash that I've had in my stash forever. I've just been trying to use it up. My second coat, I take a mixture of cinnamon and coffee, and I like to use this for my primitive projects. And I set that aside to dry. You don't want to mess with it at all. You don't want to wipe any of that off. Just let it dry as it is. And I apply quite a bit because I want it to have that rusty old age look. So depending on, you know, if you wanted to recreate this, you could totally skip this part or just add just a little bit. But I like to go heavy on it. Then I took some Spanish moss and kind of gathered them up into like a little nest. And then I hot glued them down into the wells of the paint tray. I think this is my favorite project out of all of them today. And they're so easy, I was able to complete all the projects within just a couple hours. Then I took out these putka berries. I just love these things. They're the cutest things. And glued those down into each well. You see me flipping them over. I'm trying to look for the side that has a little bit of like a stem on it. Then once I got my money, that's my cat scratching her cat scratcher. Sorry, guys. I took some more Spanish moss and just wanted it to look like the putka berries were kind of nestled right down in, all cozy and natural. And then I took some coffee dyed cheesecloth that I had and my little alphabet stamps that I got from Amazon and spelled the word pumpkin. And I'm just using some distress ink for that. And then I dropped that tag right down into the coffee and cinnamon mixture, gave it a good shake, used my awl to poke a hole, and then I ran some twine through that, set that off to the side for a minute, and took some of this homespun linen and just wrapped it around, tied it off in a knot, and then finished it off in just a shoelace bow and trimmed up a little bit. And then I took that threaded tag and ran it through the loop of the bow. I was getting excited. I thought I was going to make it through the whole video without tripping over my words or stuttering, and spoke too soon. Oh, I tacked my little tag down with a little hot glue so it has a little wave to it, and I think that's just adorable. What do you guys think of these DIYs? I just think they all came out so pretty. I hope you guys enjoyed these quick projects. And if you did, I'd be so grateful if you gave my video a like and left me a comment and subscribe to my channel. I'm working so hard towards my goal of 1,000 subscribers by September 23rd, and your support means so much to me. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, guys. And don't forget to check out the playlist. All right, bye.